Hey, my name's Clay. This is the introduction into a vlog that we're gonna start here. Of the title says it all. Canadians moving from Canada to Florida, in the U.S. So if you're here, you're probably in the same position we're in right now. We live in Canada, northern BC, way up north to be exact. And everything. I'm not going to get too political on this channel or anything like that. I'm just going to tell it how it is here. But basically, you're probably looking to do the same thing we're doing. You're sick. You're sick and tired of working and working and working and working and working and working some more and never getting ahead and never being able to feel like there's a future. You may not be able to buy a house or a property like you want to do. It's feeling kind of hopeless. It's just things have spun so far out of control and gotten so far out of hand now that it's like, well, what do you do? So you see everything happening down south in the US, and a fraction of the taxes. Everything's a lot cheaper. And you just feel like that's somewhere you might still have a chance to live the dream. I mean, when I was growing up, I'm 39 now. I thought, I'm gonna get married and go to work and have a family and be able to buy a house. And I met my wife maybe 12 years ago, and things just started getting so expensive. We lived in north of Calgary in Airdrie at the time, and things were getting so expensive. That was during the boom, when everything was booming and starting to get so expensive. And I was employed. I owned a drywall taping business at the time, and my wife, she was a new Canadian here on a temporary worker's visa. And we were kind of feeling like we were just sitting there spinning our tires and going nowhere, and just, working to survive, go to work, come home, and just pay your rent. And there was we didn't have good credit at the time, or any credit, and we had a couple of blips and made a few mistakes, and it put us in a position where, yeah, we were making money, but we didn't qualify. So we ended up having an opportunity to move to BC, where we were kind of chasing lower house prices, because we moved from Airdrie to Radium Hot Springs in BC, there in the Kootenays. And we're like, okay, we'll have a chance here. If we just go to work for like a year or two, we'll be able to get a home. So we went there, we started working. I was taping houses and condos because it was kind of booming over there a bit, but it was still cheaper over there than it was in Airdrie at the time. And by the time came around, everything rose so expensive we didn't even have a chance. So at that point, my grandmother had passed, and we had the opportunity to go stay in her house and get the estate cleaned up. And we decided it was over just outside of Penticton in Caramias, BC, just kind of close to the US border. And so we went over there, and we were allowed to stay in the estate to just pay the bills. And at this time, my wife, she went to school to become a care aide. And it was kind of a blessing that we were able to do this and be able to survive to get by while she was going to school. I was working in Penticton. I was 45 minutes down the road. She was going to school. And when she got out of school, she got a good job right away, because care aides, they get paid pretty well. And it's the same thing. Everything started going up and up and up and up. The prices were rising so fast. But by the time we were there for 2 years, when you're looking to buy a house, it's like 300, 400,000 now for just like a little shack. And we're like, well, we can't afford this. Like, how can I justify getting into a $400,000 mortgage for 25, 30 years? It didn't seem feasible paying that kind of money for the rest of my life. It's just like that's just so much. So we were looking around and we looked up to northern BC. And in northern BC, we seen things were a lot more affordable. So when we originally moved up here to northern BC, we sold everything we had in Karamias. We got a U-Haul and a car trailer. We put our car on the back of the trailer, loaded up our house, had a garage sale, sold off everything we didn't need. And when we moved up here, we literally had $900 left after all the moving expenses. We had nothing. And we ended up, before we moved too, we realized when my wife took a job up here in Northern Health that it was the same thing as down south up here, that there was no housing. There was a housing shortage. And we didn't realize it at the time because we always had pretty good luck finding houses. But when she took the job and we were already planning on moving up here, and we gave away our old house and told our landlord we were moving out and yada yada yada, we started looking for another house and we realized, oh, this isn't going to happen. So we ended up getting a travel trailer, and we had that. My dad pulled that up for us, and we put an ad on Facebook and said, look, my wife's got this job up here, we're moving up, we're looking for a place to park our trailer till we can get situated and find a house, etc., etc. And someone replied and said, oh yeah, no, your wife's working at the same facility as us, so why don't you come stay at our property? So that was really kind of them to let us come up there and hook up the power, and they only charged us $500 a month, which was nice. And we lived in our travel trailer there all summer. And when we got here, it was like the beginning of June. So we stayed here all summer, and then we still couldn't find a house, and things were looking dire. So we ended up moving over to a campground where they had full hookups. Power, water, sewer, because they didn't have that on the property. All we had was power there. And so we lived in the trailer for, I don't know, 6 months after we got to this campground. And it was the middle of December 15th exactly. I happened to be on Facebook and I seen this trailer, like a trailer from the trailer park mobile home. This is the house we're in right now, and we're still living here. And it was $1,000 a month, but it was 20 minutes south of town, way out in the sticks, but it's on a lake, so that's very nice. But it's an older shack, you know, it's run down, it has some problems, some mold issues, etc., etc. It's just it's good it was good for the time being. So we stayed here. We got through the winter, and then over the next year, my wife was working and I was working in a restaurant, and we were just kind of doing the same thing. We were just kind of sitting here, and we're like, well, we're never ever gonna really have a chance to get anything. Every time we look at something, the price just goes up and up and up. And since we've been here, you used to be able to get like 5 acres for like 50,000, and now like 5 acres is like 150,000, and the bank wants half down. And even to get a mortgage, we went and talked to the credit union where we're at, and they're like, oh yeah, with how much you're working and your car loan and etc., etc., you know, you wouldn't even qualify for $100,000 house. And there's no such thing as $100,000 house. It just don't exist, even up here. So we're like, well, what are we going to do? Well, we were thinking, oh, maybe we'll just save up some money and get a piece of land and start, you know, put the travel trailer on there and, you know, slowly build a house. But that just didn't, as time went on, that just didn't seem realistic. That came farther and farther away from us. Living so far out of town, We had an SUV at the time, and the transmission went on it, and when we had $9,000 left to pay on this car. It was $33,000. We got her down to $9,000. That was like $575 a month payment we had, and we were working on it so hard. And at this time, I started a business, a party rentals business, where we rented out little portable arcade machines and bounce houses, and that was going pretty good. And we had our enclosed trailer that we had gotten, and the transmission went on the SUV that we were pulling it with while we were in town in Prince George. So we're kind of stuck there, and we had no money, because, you know, we're just a new business. We're just trying to get by, and we had no money. And we were at the Dodge dealership. So we went into the Dodge dealership, and if we wanted to move forward with our business, and we were planning on opening a food truck, I was going to take the enclosed trailer and turn it into a portable little food truck, right? And start doing the circuit next summer, because I seen there was a real lack of food around here, and there's lots of opportunity. So that's what we're working for. And in order to keep moving forward and get the food truck going and moving forward, we ended up needing a truck. So, not having the best credit ever still, and, you know, everything that was going on, we ended up getting a truck. It was a used truck. It had low kilometers. It was a 2019. But if we didn't get that truck, we wouldn't be going home that day, because our transmission was blown. So I called my dad. He ended up loaning us $2,500, because we needed a $2,500 down payment. And we didn't have the money. We had nothing. We'd just been kind of, you know, getting by from check to check, like, you know, probably everybody else out there, it seems like. And we ended up getting the truck, but the truck boosted our payments from the car that was $500 a month to the truck now that's $1,000 a month plus insurance. So that put us even more in a precarious situation, where now we have even bigger payments. So we got our, you know, the truck, the trailer, and the house payment, the cell phones, the internet, the insurance, and it just keeps adding up. And the party rentals business, it was seasonal, right? So we shut it down over the winter, because you can't really do bounce houses and that kind of stuff out, you know, when it's minus 30 up here and stuff, and it's too cold and snowy. So over the winter, we had a little bit of money when we'd have like $200 or $300 or a couple extra $100. Slowly, I took the enclosed trailer. Eventually, I'll show you guys. But I put flooring in the trailer. And then I took the trailer over, and I had this electrician friend, and I got him to wire the trailer up for electricity, so we can hook a generator up to it and a circuit box and have electricity through the trailer. And I wired in the lights, and I put a ceiling in it all myself, and then we painted it, and then I plumbed in a 3-compartment sink and a hand washing sink with a freshwater tank and a gray water tank. And I did this over the winter. And then we got some fridges. We were able to, on Walmart, we were able to make 4 payments. So I could get a fridge for like, you know, $150 per thing. So we'd do from Klarna. It was this thing called Klarna. So we could get the fridge, we make a payment right there, they ship the fridge to you, and then every 2 weeks the payment comes out on payday. So it's $150, $150, $150 until it's done. And then, so we had some fridges, and we were getting everything together. And, you know, spring was approaching, it's March. And it's looking like we're not going to be able to get the food truck up and running. And this was our moment, our everything. If we failed right here with this food truck, or the first week was a flop and we didn't make any money, we were literally going to be homeless with nothing. It was all or nothing. We took a big chance. And yeah, so there was this company called Community Futures up here. They help people in BC, northern BC, with loans. You submit a business plan and they evaluate it and they look over everything and they make sure it's viable. And if they think that you're going to be successful, they'll give you a loan. So we ended up taking a loan for $10,000 from these people. And it was great because it helped us get all the last things we needed. I needed a grill. We needed another fridge. I needed a stainless steel countertop for working on. We had to get utensils and our first row of food and propane and gas and things like that, and get a few signs made up and things like that so we could get off running. And we opened up the first week of May. May 1st was the first day. May 1st, 2024. We opened up. And we had our first day I might have did $600. And then we opened up again the second day in our town here up in Burns Lake. And we had an even better day. We did about $2,500, which was great because if we didn't, we were in trouble. And then I opened up a third day, and we made like another $2,500 in like 6 hours with the food truck. And people were talking. It was doing good. So that was a great first week. Next week, I had already had us booked in for Pride event in Smithers, BC. So we went up there, and in 2.5 hours we did $2,500, and that was great because that was our second week. And then after that, I had us booked in for the Northwest Trades Expo. We ended up making a deal with them. We traded our bounce house. We rented them our bounce house in exchange for our vendor spot for our food truck, and we hit that 2 days in a row, and we ended up making about $4,900 in about 6 hours because it was open about, maybe it was about 8 hours because I think it was 4 hours on one day and then 3 hours on the next day it was open. And apparently we set the all-time sales record for most food sold at one of their expos out of all the years they've been open. They said the food vendors, they don't want to come here because they don't make any money and it wasn't profitable for them. And we turned that upside down. So we had ourselves booked into lots of events, and as things progressed, we started realizing that, it's expensive here in Canada. We're doing a lot of traveling, and gas is like almost $1.70 a liter. So it's expensive. We're always traveling, and when you're pulling the food truck, it uses twice as much gas. Like when you're not pulling, I can go to Prince George and back. That's 2.5 hours for $60. But when I'm pulling, it's like 120 one way and back. So it uses about double. And then the propane, and then the food costs are all going up and up and up. And then we got hit with a good reality check when we did our taxes for the first year with the business, and realized you get taxed so bad in this country, especially here in British Columbia. It's even worse. They tax you even harder, and it's literally it's over 50% they tax you. So you go do all the work and they just take all the money. And after we worked, we made $100 $120,000 in our first year. And at the end of it, we ended up only having about $18,000 profit. And because of the taxes, the cost of fuel, the cost of propane, our traveling, etc., etc., the carbon tax, it didn't seem feasible. It just did not seem feasible, and it doesn't seem feasible. It still isn't feasible to continue on like this. And then, our government that we have in place right now, they want to raise the capital gains tax. They tried to raise it. They want to raise the carbon tax. Inflation has gone through the roof because of their out of control spending. The price of gas never goes down. It's like $1.65 still. And now this, the trade wars that are happening with the US because of our government's policies that have upset the Americans so badly. It just doesn't seem like it's a viable future, right? So we made the decision a couple months ago that we went on vacation at the end of the year at the end of October 2024 here. We went on vacation. We went through Washington, Oregon, California, across to Vegas, New Mexico, Texas, and then spent a week in Panama City Beach, Florida, and then came up Nashville, through Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, and then back across Saskatchewan and Alberta and back up to northern BC. And what we've gathered out of our trip is we loved America. Like, especially Florida. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And their gas, even the gas in California, the most heaviest taxed state in all of the Union, is still cheaper than Canada's gas. And that makes no sense to me. Because there should be no reason for that, because we have like the most gas, one of the largest reserves on the planet. And we make it right here, and we extract it. It makes no sense. So when we got back and we looked at all of our finances from our trip and all the states we went across, like, gas was so cheap. You get a gallon of gas for like $2.30 American. So that was like barely $3.50 Canadian. You barely get 2 liters. Like, it's like half as cheap. It's half as expensive over there. And the taxes are so much cheaper. Like, I have friends in America, and they live a good life, and they just work regular jobs. They don't have to do anything special. And me and my wife, we both work, and we can't get ahead. And it seems hopeless. We don't have a chance of buying a home here, it feels like. And if we do want a home, it has to be out in the middle of nowhere. Because justifying taking a mortgage for $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, it just doesn't seem feasible. We can't live in an apartment either, like a $200,000 or $300,000 condo. Like, we have the kid, we have the businesses. There's no room there. We wouldn't be able to survive. We live in this trailer. It's, 60 feet long by 14 feet wide. And there's not even enough room in here. Everything's so bad. It's so jammed up. We're so tight on space as it is. It's like we're jammed up to the max. There is no more room here. So we're doing our best to make do with what we have. And so me and my wife, we just discussed things a lot here and decided, well, what are we going to do? We had a really successful season here with the food truck, and everybody's talking about it. We draw crowds. We're doing really well. It seems like people like our food. What are we going to do? What should we do? So going to work, working a 9 to 5, it's just not going to work. Like, it's almost impossible to do that and get ahead and buy a house and move forward. And we're getting our credit back on track now. Finally, after all these years, we've been trying so hard and we finally get here. And I think what the final nail in the coffin was is we went to go, you know, refinance the vehicle because we got it at a high interest rate before. We went to the credit union, see if we could refinance the truck to maybe save a few dollars or knock some months off of the back end or whatever. And the credit union is hemmed and hawed for a while, and finally they said, okay, we'll refinance you. And then when we were sitting in there, like, we're just curious, you know, what could we qualify for a mortgage? And they said, well, looking at all your finances and everything you got right now and everything, you wouldn't even qualify for like $80,000 for a house. And how is that possible? Like, how can we work this much and my wife makes upwards of 90 a year, and the business made 100 last year. Like, how is this impossible? And they said, oh, well, that's just the way it is. So I think that was, at that point, was the final nail in the coffin. We're like, okay, we can't get a house here. We can't even buy some land here. If we want land, we have to buy it outright cash, and land's so expensive. We don't have a chance. So, like, what do we do? Like, and then we started thinking about everything in America. In America, the more you think about it, the better it seems. Their economy's booming. Everywhere we went across America, that's the thing. They were building like mad everywhere. Everything was brand new. It seemed like they were building new subdivisions, new commercial, everywhere. Everything was nice and new and building it. It was like booming. And then we come back to Canada and everything's stagnant and nothing's building like that. And it's just like nothing's brand new and it's just nothing's happening. It's just kind of idling or going down even. And we're like, well, we should be in America. That's where it's happening. Like, the dollar's worth a lot. They're taxed like a fraction of the cost. And then after we took our trip down there, we decided we fell in love with Florida. And we're like, okay, so over the winter here, the last couple months since we got back in November, we were looking around, and taxes in Florida are so cheap. So we opened up we looked around, and I talked to an immigration lawyer, and they told us the path forward. And if we made an investment of around $100,000, I could get a permit, a visa to go down and operate the business, and my wife could get an open work permit so she could work anywhere in the U.S., and our daughter, she could get a school permit so she could go to school anywhere until she's 21. And we're like, okay, well, we don't have $100,000. Okay, we're broke. We came back from our little vacation. That was the best vacation we ever had in our lives, and it was, it was a few $1,000s, and we came back and we were just basically had nothing again. And it's like, okay, well, we got to go back to work now. So we're starting basically at scratch right now, zero. Okay, and we were looking around, and what really, really set me off and really made me know that this was the way forward is I can't get a piece of land here in my country. No matter how hard we work, we can't get a house. But I called a realtor in Florida, and we bought an acre and a half about 40 minutes north of Panama City Beach. Treed acre at the lake. No credit check, zero down, $249 a month. Done deal. Signed the paperwork. We got this land in Florida now. So we came back and we seen a property for rent. A little corner lot in Fort St. James. Used to be a little burger and fry shack, and apparently it done really well. And we've been going out to Fort St. James all winter long on every second Friday. And we operate our restaurant inside of the curling rink there at the concession stand. And every time we're there, we always sell out every time. We always have lineups out the door. The phone's ringing like crazy. People really like our food. And the community's really accepted us and loved us. So when we seen that little place came for rent, we jumped on it. So this summer we're going to be opening up a little restaurant. We're working over the winter here to raise the money that we need to get into the little restaurant, because it's like $3,000 damage deposit plus $2,500 a month plus utilities plus, you know, any other fees and etc., etc. But it comes with all the kitchen equipment, the grill, the fryers, the fridges, the freezers, the ice cream making machines, and all that stuff. So here we are, starting our journey to get to Florida. And we're starting with nothing. We live in a trailer, as you can see here. We live in a trailer, and we're starting our journey right here, right now, and we're gonna do our best to help anybody else that wants to do the same thing. And you know, when you think about moving to the US, it just seems like an impossible task, and you need to be rich and all sorts of things, but that's not the case. We're not rich. We don't have any family members that are rich. We can't call somebody up right now and just get tens of thousands of dollars. We don't have tons of credit. We're maxed out on our credit cards. We're just scraping by from day to day, and we're gonna prove that with some hard work and a dream, it can be done. And it all started when we got approved for that piece of land in Florida. So I've already opened a business in Florida. I got a home address in Florida. I got a Florida phone number. And now I got a Florida business. It's the same business. The Sizzlin' Sasquatch from Canada is now the Sizzlin' Sasquatch in Florida. We're going to take the same concept that's working and move it to Florida. We're going to build a food truck over the next year or two. A good big food truck, because we have a small one right now. And it's hard to work in because it's so small, but it works. We can pump the food out of there, but it's just not the code for Florida standards. There's a whole different set of rules down there. I looked into it, and we have to build a different food truck to get by. So over the next year or two, or however long it takes, I'm going to build up this food truck. And then once the food truck's built, we're going to hire the immigration lawyer when we have the money. And we're going to move to Florida and start operating down there. The same business, same concept, same food. Just down in the United States, living the dream on our property that we bought. That really ticks me off. That I can buy a property in Florida as a Canadian. No problem. No problem whatsoever. But I can't do it in my own country where I've been working my entire life. It's sad. And even my cell phone. My cell phone here. I got a Florida phone number. I pay $19 a month for my cell phone with my Florida phone number. My Canadian phone number is over $75 a month. We have 3 phone numbers, 2 for the business and 1 personal. Between the 3 of them, it's $232 Canadian per month. This new Florida phone, less than $20 a month. It rings, it texts, it got internet, it does everything the same, except it's a fraction of the price. So with all those things being said, this is the start of our journey. This is the start of our vlog, and we're going to take you with us every step of the way. You're going to see us in this trailer. We're probably going to have to camp out in behind our restaurant in a tent most of the summer, because we don't live anywhere near there. We live 2.5 hours away until we can find another house. So we're going to be camping out, doing what we have to do, working our buns off to get to where we want to be. And hopefully we can get the truck paid off this summer, get our credit cards paid down, get the loan that we had to take out to get our trailer all outfitted there, the $10,000 from that organization, and then have a few dollars left over at the end of the year, and then working towards building our new food truck is the goal. We'll see what happens. Let's hope that the summer goes well, but we want to sit here and we want you guys to come on this journey with us And we can prove that you can start from nothing, have a dream, and make it. And all you got to do is some hard work and sacrifice and get her done. And just keep striving and don't let anything kick you while you're down. And along the way, you're going to see us working in our restaurant. You're going to see us doing the things that we do. I'm going to go into some other videos of things that we did to get the ball rolling in the United States. Maybe some of the lawyers we talked to, some of the videos I watched to inspire me, and things like that. And anybody who wants to go on this journey and wants to do the same, and you're feeling like we feel, like you're just sitting here spinning your tires in Canada, and there's no hope, and everything's too expensive, and there's no future, there is a way, and we're going to prove it right now. Starting here, right now our credit cards are maxed out, and we might have $1,500 in the business account, and maybe $400 personal to start with, and we're gonna make it happen, and you're gonna be along for the ride with us. So I'm gonna be putting out videos often. This was the introduction into our journey. You'll meet the wife and the daughter eventually here, but here we are. We're starting, and come for the ride with us. And we're gonna go from the frozen tundra here in Canada. As you can see, it's pretty icy out there. The frozen tundra here in Canada, all the way to the beaches in Panama City Beach, Florida. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a journey, but we're going to work hard and live our dreams. So we'll catch up with you on the next video. Thank you.